Welcome to Children's Chapel. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Amanda Esco, and I am the Director of the Religious Education for the First Unitarian Church. Thanks for joining us today. Today in our Children's Chapel, we're going to light our chalice, we're going to say our joys and concerns. Miss Lissa is going to introduce us to our UU of the week, and I'm going to finish with a story about our principles today from one of our 6 sources. So let's get ready. I want us to start by taking 2 really good deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose and breathe out through our mouth. Ready? Let's do that one more time. Remember, our breathing is so important. Breathing helps us center ourselves, it helps us be present in our space, and it helps our bodies feel safe. So we always start with our breathing. I'm gonna light our chalice today, and I have our chalice from Little Chapel at Church. We're gonna say the words that we say in the main sanctuary. Symbol of light, symbol of knowledge, symbol of warmth, symbol of freedom. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. So today we are going to have some joys and concerns. We like to start our Children's Chapel every week with this, and I think it's important for us to keep doing this at home. I'll start today because I'm here. I have a joy and a concern. My joy today is that my garden beds are in and I gotta pick up my plants today, and I am so excited. I've been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to plant, and today is the day. So it's a big deal over here. My concern is my puppy Dexter broke his toe. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I mean, we all know dogs have toes, but have you ever heard them breaking them? He's okay, but he does have a cast on. So that's kind of difficult. So that has been a hardship this week for sure. I want to give you all a minute to tell your joys and concerns to whoever is in the room, whether it's a mom and dad, or a sister or brother or grandma or grandpa, whoever you're sharing this space with today. I want you to tell your joys and concerns and them to have an opportunity to share their joys and concerns. We're going to leave space for you to do that now. I appreciate you sharing with one another. It's really important. Thank you so much for sharing your joys and concerns. Again, like we talked about, in times that we're physically separated, it's important that we share with those around us what we're feeling and what we're thinking, and being able to put words to that helps us feel safe and helps us feel together still. So thank you for sharing. I'm gonna pass the time now to Lissa, who's gonna tell us about our UU of the week. Lissa, take it away.
Hi, I'm Lissa Lander, the Religious Education Assistant for the First Unitarian Church in Salt Lake City. Over the past 2 years, one of our favorite parts of Children's Chapel has been the UU of the Week. We've taught the kids about famous Unitarian Universalists from around the world, from anyone from the King of Hungary in the 1500s all the way up to a current-day environmental activist from our own congregation. This week, we're going to learn about Julia Ward Howe. She was born in Boston in the year 1819 and died in 1910. She was a famous poet, essayist, lecturer, reformer, and biographer. Julia Ward Howe was an abolitionist, meaning that she worked to end slavery, and a suffragette. She even worked with famous UU Lucy Stone to help women secure the right to vote, although she never did see that happen in her lifetime. As a poet, she's most famous for writing the Battle Hymn of the Republic, singing "Glory, glory, hallelujah, his truth is marching on." Julia chose to be a Unitarian later in her life after much research and study. She said, "I studied my way out of all the mental agonies which Calvinism can engender, and became a Unitarian. She was lucky enough to be a contemporary with William Ellery Channing, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Margaret Fuller, and in fact heard each of them speak at one point in Boston. Unfortunately, Julia was not very happily married. She tried for a long time to balance her career and her marriage, given that her husband wasn't too excited to be married to a prominent published author. But after he died, she was finally able to tour and give lectures. She created women's clubs wherever she went, helping to unite women, and even preached frequently in Unitarian churches. The reason that we're talking about Julia Ward Howe today is that she was very influential in creating Mother's Day, although she envisioned it as a day of peace. In 1870, she wrote in a Mother's Day proclamation for peace that our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. She never did quite convince the government to create a Mother's Day for peace. But 36 years later, the daughter of a woman who worked with Julia Ward Howe did succeed in bringing Mother's Day to America, although the day has a very different meaning. Thanks for learning about our UU of the week. We'll see you next time.
This week in RE, we have been talking about stories. Stories have always been really important to people. They teach us history, they help us choose our actions, and how we relate to one another. Today, I'm going to tell you a story from our Christian tradition. Remember, as UUs, we not only have our 7 principles, but we also have our 6 sources we pull knowledge and wisdom from. One of those sources says that we should look to Jewish and Christian teachings to find out how to love one another and how we relate. Today's story is taken from the Christian Bible. As you listen to the story today, I want you to think about which of our 7 principles this story reminds you of. This story is from our UU curriculum, Love Surrounds Us, and it's called Jesus Teaches the Beatitudes. Jesus was a teacher. He lived thousands of years ago in a part of the world we now call the Middle East. Jesus taught people how to use words and actions in a loving manner. There are many different ideas about God. Jesus' idea about God was that God is a kind father who wanted us to treat one another kindly and with respect. People love to listen to Jesus. One day, there were so many people waiting to be taught by him that he had to climb all the way up to the top of a mountain. Sitting on the mountain, he could see far away. The people just kept coming and coming. There were families with children and teenagers and elders. There were fishermen and farmers and shepherds. Some of the shepherds had their sheep and goats and were stopping on their way home from grazing. Jesus called his friends to come sit by him on the mountain. Then all of a sudden, it got very quiet. People were ready to listen to Jesus. They watched him and listened to his words. Jesus taught all the people of all ages a lesson called the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes teach us how to treat other people. The Beatitudes teach us how to act. Jesus knew our relationships with one another was the most important thing of life. Let's listen to hear the words from Jesus, the teacher. Listen for what kinds of people he asks us to pay attention to. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for one day they will be in heaven. Blessed are those who are sad, for they will be comforted. Blessed are those who are gentle, for they will have all of the earth. Blessed are those who seek justice, for they will make a difference. Blessed are those who forgive, for they will be forgiven. Blessed are those who treat others with kindness, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who try to do the right thing, for they will go to heaven. The Beatitudes are ways that Jesus taught people would be blessed. As I read the Beatitudes, what principle did it remind you of? It reminded me of our first principle. The first principle explains that everyone has worth as a human being. How we treat one another is very important. We are called on as Unitarian Universalists to treat each other with respect and kindness whenever we can. How does our first principle remind you how to treat others? As you go through this week, I want you to think about our first principle. What have you done to show dignity and respect for all? Did you help celebrate an essential worker? Did you leave a note for a loved one? Did you wear a mask outside so everyone can be safe? All of these are ways that we can show we value not only those in our family, but our community as well. I am so glad that you joined us for Children's Chapel today. We're going to have another video for you next week. Thank you for being in community with us. Love out.